Hey friends, Patrick Antrim here, founder and CEO of Multifamily Leadership and producer of the Multifamily Leadership Summit, where we celebrate the best places to work multifamily. And in this video, I'm going to go over the 8 key areas of the best places to work multifamily program. Listen, companies have been participating. This is going to be our 4th annual event where we celebrate the best places to work in multifamily. And for those of you that have questions about the program and why companies participate, I want to go over that in this video. Listen, there's many reasons people participate in programs like this. And for one, there's the idea that we're going to evaluate the 8 key areas of your internal organization and give you an opportunity to make high levels of improvement in your employee engagement. There's no better way to do that from a third party and having candid, authentic, trusted research team to bring out what's best for your organization so you can make guided, actionable decisions off that data. Now this, in a world of data, perhaps could be one of the most important pieces of data your organization gets its hands on. Secondly, recognition. People participate in the program because of recognition. Now, it's shown to see that companies that participate in the program, those that make the list, use the badge as the best places to work multifamily. This distinguishes their firm from other firms and allows other applicants to see that they're making investments in their business. And not only they're making investments in the business, but they were recognized as one of the best. And when you have that, you get higher levels of candidates, improved quality candidates into your organization for new recruits. And then of course, the third reason, which is really a differentiator, owner investors have historically looked at large organizations to evaluate who are the big players in the marketplace. And while that has been important, what we have today is a research and a benchmark that we've never had previously in decades before, and that is our best places to work multifamily. This allows investors and asset managers and owners to consider organizations and management opportunities of those that can truly drive outcomes for their business. In other words, if they can figure out the internal process of an organization and make a list like a best places to work multifamily, chances are they're going to take care of my real estate and drive higher returns. So those are the reasons that people participate in the program. And then of course, we are a people business, and this is an opportunity to recognize people. And beyond the individual person, these are the CEOs that are leading this change, those that are investing in their business, creating cultures that are creating opportunities for people to be innovative and take their business to the next level. There is no other recognition tool allowed for a management company to be recognized for this process. So we've seen the program grow and double year after year because of the value that's created regardless of those that make a list. So let's go over the 8 key areas. So first, what we're going to be looking at is leadership and planning. And this is really, starting from the broad strokes of the organization and how the organization is talking about their goals and their plans for the future. And so we use a Likert model, and we're looking for high levels of engagement and low levels of engagement. And we're looking at that from a research standpoint to determine how we're communicating within the organization. So for example, we present a statement like, I understand the long-term vision of this organization. And either an employee is going to strongly agree with that, and then you have your neutral responses, of course, and they're going to look at, perhaps they're going to strongly disagree with that. And we're looking for those variance points in the research process to determine levels of engagement there. And we roll into communication. So corporate culture and communications, again, just other ways that we're communicating with the organization. Do I feel that I can trust do I feel safe in my communications in the organization? And you get these opportunities to ask these questions with your teams on an unbiased decision. So there's complete trust and authenticity through the process, so you get the real data. And those CEOs listening know that the quicker and sooner that they can get to the real information in the business, the sooner that you can actually make a decision to improve it. Role satisfaction. So in our business, we've taken many different roles and and the roles are changing, right? With technology and the new innovations, these roles are changing. And so how are people truly satisfied in that role? And if you can rate and understand those levels of engagement, you can step in and improve your training and management process. For example, in career path, you might take somebody from a leasing agent to the assistant manager to the manager because you see them as a leader, but really the assistant manager role is really just a sidestep to the bigger picture that they're involved in. But if you don't engage and you don't inform them of the process and stay in touch with that process, then you might lose them with a voluntary turnover because they don't see the big picture. So role satisfaction engagement is important to measure so you can make those management moves. Work environment. Now the work environment is, that's important because when we look at the data that comes through this, we have demographics, work demographics. In other words, you have maintenance teams, operations, corporate, regional, all these different roles that will measure different levels of engagement. So in your corporate communications and leadership and planning, your work environment office managers, leasing professionals might have high levels of engagement, but maybe your maintenance team or your operations teams has low levels of engagement. So that's where you can make modifications to your communications and your channels in which you communicate to modify and increase or decrease and measure those levels of commitments. And one of the key drivers, relationship with supervisor. This is a key point because if we can fix these challenges early, we understand that communication often causes a lot of moves in organizations, and sometimes these are just communication issues. They're not really problems if we just had better levels of communication. So with the relationship with the role or with the supervisor, we can get clear leading indicators to fix challenges immediately to either move teams or improve culture, do those types of things so we can continue to reduce our voluntary turnover in the process. And if you can fix this thing, this is the first thing that you want to drive in an organization because usually that's the highest indicator of movement in high levels of employee engagement. Training and development. Now, a lot of you watching know that our industry really prides itself on how we train and develop leaders. Unfortunately, even those that make the list still have improvements to make. And we're going to measure things like, what is the initial training that you're provided when you join the organization? And do you have high levels of training? Do you feel that you have support in that process? And then what's the ongoing training? And what we find is there's some variances there in the initial training versus the ongoing training. So once we understand this data and we can benchmark it amongst others in the marketplace, like our firms, this gives us an opportunity to make guided decisions based on data that's going to actually improve the business. Pay and benefits. This is an important part to understand where we are today and where we're going tomorrow and get a sense of how to create maximum value for not only what the lenders are requiring, but give data so we can make the argument to make a move or benchmark amongst other organizations so we can remain competitive. And then overall employee engagement. So we'll take all of these eight key areas or 7 key areas, and the 8th key area is the overall employee engagement. We're just going to measure, if you have 10 people rowing for you in a boat, you're going to, chances are, surpass other organizations. If you've got 3 people in the organization that are rowing against you, you're going to be, with headwinds. You're going to have to work harder to create the outcomes you're trying to create. And what we know about national data around employee engagement is regarding the employee engagement in national workplaces, even outside our organization, this remains a challenge in our industry. And the reason why it remains a challenge is because communication, people are more distracted than they've ever been. They have a hard understanding of what to focus on. Communication is more important than ever before. And those companies that participate in the program see high levels of engagement just by participating, because those companies that perhaps are checking, or those people that are either checking out or thinking about doing something else, leaving your organization, will stick around and invest because they see that you are making that investment. Now, the only trick here is that if you go through this process, you have to be committed to actually make the change. You can't just ask the questions, evaluate, and get clarity and visibility over these things and then not make the change. That's also another way to reduce your employee engagement level. So national data again shows us that it is very difficult and challenging for organizations to get their arms around this employee engagement issue. And what we know is our ability to create talent as our last real competitive advantage gives us the opportunity and recognition to do some really unique things in multifamily. So today, the registration is open. I want to invite you to participate. There have been some phenomenal companies. It's a trusted program. And we're going to have an annual summit that's going to recognize in some pretty creative and fun ways and give you the media summit and the visible tools and the video tools and the social tools to share that story and shout from the rooftop your success. My name is Patrick Antrim. Appreciate sharing the time with you today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.